No Panic Zone. I'm Steve Gore. I am America's voice. I'm an America First guy. Let me be clear. I'm here to tell you the truth, not make you feel good, all right? If that's not if that's not going to work for you, that's not going to be the place for you. Here's 3 big things you need to know right now. Number 1, Kevin McCarthy handing out the promised positions to Republicans that held out on voting for him. Looks like it was well worth the fight to them. Number 2, the Democrats and their media handmaidens are doing their best to protect Joe Biden from the widening document scandal, but it's not working. In fact, it's getting worse. Number 3, the globalists, as we have been discussing this week, are all gathered in Davos, Switzerland, where they are plotting the future of the world, or in my estimation, plotting the destruction of American Western civilization in pursuit of some utopian pipe dream that's never become reality and never will. The rigid backbone of the discussions are the frantic, panicked, and frankly shrill and delusional outbursts over what they continue to claim is an existential threat to the planet, of course, to democracy, which they seem to repeat over and over again. Everything's a threat to democracy, you see. Nobody's been more hysterical and more wrong over time than the former Vice President of the United States, Al Gore. Al Gore, who, based on his expanding girth, is a clear and present danger to global resources, and it appears his carbon footprint is expanding dramatically along with his shadow. I mean, I thought a big part of the whole effort was to stop eating meat and reduce consumption overall. Well, if it is, he seems to have missed that very important memo. He may have eaten that too. But the bigger concern for me today is that Al, who's made some of the most outrageous and completely inaccurate predictions about the climate over the last 25 years, well, he seems to be off his meds too, and that's dangerous. Yeah, Al Gore goes on a totally unhinged rant about boiling oceans, and rain bombs. Yeah, his meds aren't working, and like I said, and you decide for yourself, it looks like Al hasn't been cutting back on the red meat or the sweets. Geez, Al, what a Green New Deal fraud you are. Listen.
We're going to bring these emissions down. And just to put the science in a slightly different context, people are familiar with that thin blue line that the astronauts bring back in their pictures from space. That's the part of the atmosphere that has oxygen, the troposphere, and it's only 5 to 7 kilometers thick. That's what we're using as an open sewer. If you could drive a car straight up in the air at interstate highway speeds, you'd get to the top of that blue line in 5 minutes. And all the greenhouse gas pollution would be below you. We're still putting 162 million tons into it every single day. And the accumulated amount is now trapping as much extra heat as would be released by 600,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every single day on the Earth. That's what's boiling the oceans, creating these atmospheric rivers and the rain bombs, and sucking the moisture out of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about 1 billion? We would lose our capacity for self-governance on this world. We have to act. So in answer to your question, I would say we have to have a sense of urgency much greater than we have yet had, and we need to make some changes.
Good God, get the straitjacket, man. He's lost his mind. The oil, the oceans are boiling, and there's rain bombs. Good God. Melting the ice and raising the ocean levels. So fast are the ocean levels rising that Barack Obama bought not 1, but 2 oceanside estates. 1 in Massachusetts, 1 in Hawaii, right on the ocean. Man, is he worried about oceans rising. Al Gore's lost his mind. But that is a pretty good outline of what is happening in Switzerland. A bunch of uber-rich egomaniacs that think they are the smartest people in the world, in fact, in the history of the world. Lining up to start barking orders at you, the peasants, to do as you're told, or we'll all burn to death. Or as Al said, be boiled alive in the oceans or killed by rain bombs. I think he may have gotten into the gummies and eaten the whole damn bag, but I digress. Another scary member of the apocalypse team is the climate czar and recipient of his wife's remarkable wealth, John Heinz Kerry, who thinks he was John Kerry Hines, who thinks he was just beamed down here by Captain Kirk to save the world. Yeah, here's our galactic hero, John Kerry, who thinks he is the smartest guy ever. Hey, John, Newsflash, psh, you lost to George W. Bush. Think about it. Anyhow, here he is.
And when you stop and think about it, it's pretty extraordinary that we, select group of human beings, because of whatever touched us at some point in our lives, are able to sit in a room and come together and actually talk about saving the planet. I mean, it's so almost extraterrestrial to think about, quote, saving the planet. And if you said that to most people, they think you're just a crazy tree-hugging, lefty, liberal, do-gooder, whatever, and there's no relationship. But really, that's where we are.
Yeah, we legit think you are a tree-hugging whack job. Yeah, make no mistake, John. And again, you lost to George W. Bush, and you're the smartest guy in the room. Yeah, go with that. Let's just keep rolling video of the doomsday crowd in Switzerland. And don't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow and find out they all got put on purple Nikes and got $5 in quarters to ride the spaceship home. I mean, this is some serious cult mentality crap here. Mental illness stuff here. Here's another elitist, by the way, we've got time, who flew to Davos on board a private jet, saying we need to consume less, but it's hard to take her seriously as she sits there in her designer clothes made by slave labor somewhere in the bowels of a Chinese sweatshop. Okay, that part's a bit of a guess, but damn good one, I can tell you. Listen.
When we talk about scaling up of solutions, it makes me a little uncomfortable because I feel that we're always talking about, well, how do we make our supply chains greener, but then it's really about how do we then keep consuming without the negative environmental consequences. But I would also maybe make a suggestion that we really have to take a step back and look into our consumption patterns. Do we really need to keep consuming? What can we do to make our lifestyles more sustainable? And this is pertinent to the developed world because this is where most of the consumption happens.
Yeah. So we have to look at the developed world. You see, it's your fault that you want to have a good house with a roof that doesn't leak, and you want to have a steak once a week. That's your fault. You want a nice television, by the way, also made in China, most likely, to watch the football game on Saturday or Sunday. It's your fault. I've got some other bad news coming for you after the break. We're going to continue. There's an absolute damn tonnage of idiocy coming out every day from Davos. No cars, no guns, no meat. Open corridors so that the refugees can just flood your country, any country, because that's the way it's supposed to work. That's a human right to just flood into any country. In fact, there should be no borders at all. Yeah, how that's going to work on the Korean Peninsula, not sure. How's that going to work for China? Not sure. First, they just want to overrun America because they have to make it an example. You're going to be the example. Get it? You. And if you say anything about it, you'll be censored. You'll be spewing hate crimes. We'll get to the freedom of speech here in a moment, too. It is pretty remarkable, the amount of filth coming out of there. But you should also be very concerned about it because it's real. I'll be right back.